We're going to look at a couple of books today, very popular books, very famous books, and they do have some relation to each other, although for what I'm doing, they don't have to have a relation, just that in fact they do. And the first one, I guess both of them could be called coming-of-age books. And the first one is very famous by J.D. Salinger, called The Catcher in the Rye. And if you haven't read this book, you're one of the few people who haven't. Is it worth reading? You certainly bet it is. It's a short novel of 230 pages, and it's about Holden Caulfield, who comes from a prep school and actually skips out on the prep school to come of age, to go through the precincts of New York, where he, almost in a picaresque sense, he goes through and has a series of episodes. He has a series, some of them are comic, and others are well, not as funny. The funny one that I think of is arguing with the cab driver over where the fish and the ducks go in Central Park in the winter, which is unexpectedly funny, which is one of the reasons why I like books to have humor. They don't have to have knee-slapping humor. It doesn't have to have a knock-knock joke or anything like that. But life is full of humor. It's nice to have it. Anyway, Holden goes through and comes of age as a sadder and wiser person, a young adult who comes to see that the world is filled with phonies. And this may be adolescent insight, still valuable. Some adults never learn it. So as he goes through, and you, as the reader, start to sympathize more and more with this character, with his growing cynicism. And he is particularly, his one care in the world is for Phoebe, or Phoebe, and as you'll see here, there's a carousel horse at on the cover of this edition. Well, that reflects the last page of the book, and no great insight except to say that you don't get too involved with people. It's very at the end of it, he says it's all smoke and mirrors. And that is, in a sense, his coming of age, but a very well written book, written in the first person, very insightful, and J.D. Salinger, of course, only had to write this one book. He wrote others, but this is the one that made him a recluse, and because everybody related somehow to Holden Caulfield, and people who did not come from prep schools related to him. You don't have to have come from that socioeconomic background to relate to what this young man goes through. Again, the importance of literature. And the power that it has. So, as a coming-of-age novel, this is one of the best, and well worth reading. The second book we'll look at is another coming-of-age novel, although maybe not presented that way. Neither was Catcher in the Rye. But this one, Ray Bradbury, Something Wicked This Way Comes. It's a quotation from Macbeth, Shakespeare's Macbeth, when one of the witches, at the approach of Macbeth, says, "By the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes." And you can recite that line throughout every chapter in this book because in a very effective way, Bradbury rings that bell over and over. It is sinister. It is full of dread and foreboding. Even the name of the what it is a mysterious circus comes into town at 3 o'clock in the morning, and Cougar and Dark Circus, and the two boys who are the protagonists are drawn into this otherworldly circus where carousels make people older or younger, funhouse mirrors steal your soul, very inventive stuff. And one boy longs to be old, the other boy can't understand what's happened to his friend. The father is there, and he was young once as well, so it's nostalgic. It has a nostalgia about it, and but very well done. The underlying sense of it is that time rolls on, and it is rolling on under your feet as the boys learn. And as they come to see more and more and have more and more insight into the world around them, they also experience or gather experience, and they do have their coming of age. And again, coming of age, I said sadder and wiser. It's kind of like that, sadder and wiser. That's what coming of age is. Sadder and wiser as you discover what the world about you is. This is Bradbury is considered a science fiction writer, but really in many of his writings, he's really a fantasy writer and has a great literary flair. He has a great literary flair. If you read any of his short stories, they're literary rather than science fiction. No offense to the science fiction writers. I know there's science fiction that is literary, but his is more in a literary fantasy element. Easy on the science. Almost like you would say another writer, Vonnegut, Kurt Vonnegut Jr., he's often lumped in with science fiction. He's really an absurdist, but we'll look at Kurt Vonnegut later. He's rich with as is Ray Bradbury has a very rich vein of books to explore and to plumb. Anyway, Something Wicked This Way Comes. If you are looking for a fantastic, foreboding, dreadful, not in a gruesome sense, but in a real spiritual, even a real spiritual sense, in a way that Catcher in the Rye is not. This is not full of cynicism. This is a great book to read.